Everyone, I'm going to do a breakfast chat probably at 10 today. I haven't been on for a long time, which means I've got a lot of things building up that I've thought over and researched that would be good to talk about with you. These dehumanising terms will be spoken of: the reset, the circuit break, that the New World Order is sort of imposing this sort of dehumanising thing on us, which I've spoken about in my book, Perversity Culture of the End Times, and I refer to it as the way they try and take us from our shell and make us feel that our shell is not relevant. And with the masks, it's the sort of the conclusion of this. It's the equality of everything being the same, all one, that they're using for this, international global communism, that they will be riding as elites. Some of them will. So we're all waking up to this together. I've just done a bit of research that you might not have come across within the other channels. I want to give you something new, something that you can really get your teeth into. So that means that in about 20 minutes I'll come back, send a live link. My talks are normally 20 minutes long. I can answer questions, put them to me either at the time or now, and we'll give this a good going over, because there's so much that needs talking about. For instance, there's been a lot of the church being pulled down, the stabbing, the beheading in France, and this church cross being pulled down wasn't even on the mainstream news, yet someone can get 15 years for putting a bit of bacon on a mosque. So there's something seriously amiss here. As I said, they're playing around with our value systems, making us all devalued like animals wearing a mask. The masks haven't been proven to work, but what they're very good at, proving to work as is dehumanizing us, making us our social interaction, how we relate to one another, change drastically. And they've already set this into motion with us accepting that the veneer is just a shell, and what we see is not what we get. We are no longer a homogenous group who can recognise anything amongst ourselves pretty much anyway. They've devalued us now to the extent where we could easily be replaced by people from the third world, and the people who complain about that will be the ones who are wrong, basically. So we must give ourselves up to be this Babylon whore, which is written about, for anybody who knows Christian prophecy, because we're supposed to be open to all comers. We're supposed to not consider ourselves of any value. And I can understand how people can get very confused while loving our neighbour, as we obviously should, and rejecting this communist sort of agenda, global agenda, which lessens our identity to a meaningless kind of pond life, to a swamp, really. No, I don't want them to create a swamp in Europe or America for that even for that matter. So we have to understand that our identity is quite important to us. It doesn't need to be dehumanized to make us all the same wearing a mask, or make us all the same with a multicultural kind of ethic that they will also use and tap into for their power games. We can respect each other as human beings on an individual basis quite happily and readily, and make selections with any biases that we choose, because that's what human beings do. We don't have to condemn each other for that. We can be anything we want to be, as they would like to put it, but we can be anything we want to be, including strong in our God-given identity as well, not one that's been manufactured in the past 20 years. Say we've been considered being born trans or gay or something is sort of a trump card, or being born from a disadvantaged background is a trump card. They've been messing around with these things so often that we can't even see the real victims anymore. We can't even see the mass child rapes anymore. We can't even get enraged about. We don't know what to get enraged about. They've confused and diffused normal human responses to so many things. So I'm saying celebrate your identity, whatever it is. Celebrate each other from that position of being happy, not wishy-washy, not lukewarm, and take it from there. We don't have to disown our identity, say we're all just one sort of blob conglomerate, because that's what they want to use and play with. And we don't have to say let them use the angst either. Just build yourself up, as I think David Icke talks a lot about this, about them, your inner self not being, there's being a lot more to it, obviously, like the soul. So the soul and the shell don't always match, we know that, but it doesn't mean that we have to say that they never do, because we have archetypal images and sort of things that transcend the past 1,000 years in terms of what we celebrate, and we don't need them all to be deformed by the New World Order to represent something pantomime. as a replacement that's, defaced suitably and degenerated like the way they want everything, art, the rural idyll, the everything, the pastoral, the images in churches, things that have been sacred to people for many hundreds of years, thousands of years, to all nationalities. When they start dismantling that, what they really want is just this soup, to stir and manipulate. So let's keep intact even more under this denaturing that we see going on. We've been masked now. That's another stage further forward than we were last year. But I think I've written about this sort of thing a lot, and you'll see that I was actually onto this. I hadn't foreseen the mask, but I had used very, very similar references to a shell and how we're all being made as one in the communist New World Order. Okay, so I'm going to get a bit more precise in what I'm going to point out in my live chat in about 20 minutes. So see you then. Bye for now.